takes the podium, I would like to welcome the guests in the gallery and to say to you, you are most welcome to be part of this parliament. Don't be alarmed that the room looks empty. It's the budget vote for water affairs. There are other budget votes that are happening in other committee rooms here. So this is not a reflection of how this house looks on a daily basis. I know that as the minister continues with his speech, there may be things that excite you. Please don't clap. You can just smile and be happy. If there are things that irritate you, don't make any nasty comments. Yours is to just shake your head if you want to, but no sound. You'll be most welcome. If the members do a bit of filibustering, don't worry. It's their moment. They have to do so as members of this House. Honorable Minister, over to you.
Honorable House Chair, thank you very much for assisting us so that we could have a better understanding of the things that you have referred to. Sometimes we get excited ourselves. Honorable members of the House, cabinet colleagues, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. We can best honor the lives of our icons, President Nelson Mandela, be the legacy, and Mama Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu, a woman of fortitude, by truly living the values of the ANC which molded them: loyalty, integrity, selflessness, sacrifice, service, honesty, and humility. Politically, both these revolutionary nationalist icons were groomed, molded, and nurtured by yet another great icon of our liberation struggle, Tata Walter Sisulu. This is a tough adjustment that we have to make ourselves, but it's a must. Honorable House Chair, let me start by thanking my predecessor, Minister Nomvula Mokonyane, for preparing a comprehensive handover note for me and personally taking me through it. That handover note and comprehensive briefing gave me a good sense of what I was to inherit in the department. I appreciate that induction immensely. My insight into what I was getting into was further deepened by the top management of the department, the chairpersons and chief executives of the water boards and catchment management agencies, the Water Research Commission, the piercing interrogations by the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation, and the steady pursuit of answers by the Select Committee of the National Council of Provinces. On my first visit to the department's offices in Pretoria, I could not enter the premises. Nihau had barricaded entry. It was on strike. A day or two later, we met with the leadership, set up a joint task team to look at the issues, and 3 or 4 days thereafter, we met to receive the report and agreed on the way forward. I wish to commend Nihau's leadership, including its top stewards in the department, for its contribution to my induction. It was a baptismal of fire, Honorable Chair. On the 5th and 5th of May, I undertook the following visits. On the 5th, I visited Clan William Dam in the West Coast, accompanied by MEC Bredel of the Western Cape Government. We met leaders of district and local municipalities as well as farmers, both established and emerging. These leaders spoke with one voice in requesting that we proceed with the project of raising the dam's wall. The site establishment and the N7 diversion have been completed. On the 12th, I visited the Guyana Emergency Water Service Project in Limpopo. I had a briefing by municipal and traditional leaders, a session which was followed by a community one. Out of these engagements, the following things emerged. That's now in Guyana. Firstly, bulk infrastructure has been laid, but not a single drop of water has reached households too. Out of the frustration and anger, people have started vandalizing the infrastructure. And thirdly, the security personnel which had been guarding boreholes have been withdrawn. The people implored us to prioritize reticulation, to add 38 more villages to the 55 that had been prioritized, and to afford them an opportunity to participate in decision-making by creating a committee-based steering committee. That's what the people said, but this is what they wrote me, because I requested them to write me what they thought should be done. This is what they wrote me. And this is by the Councillor Africa, Mtomen Africa, on behalf of the community. They say to me, the project commonly known as CATU by local people, referring to a subcontracting company. This is what he writes. I'm reading what's written to me. Referring to a subcontracting company whose trading name was popularized by the heavy machinery and trucks they displayed at the onset of the project, and that made people believe all the water troubles and agonies are gone. But of late, that is 2017, the people observed a great depression in contractor activities. They observed that the heavy machineries are gone, job shedding is happening, now remaining only 130 general workers to date. Security guards who looked after the 154 boreholes have left, leaving the boreholes exposed to theft and vandalism. Even local subcontractors are complaining about non-payments. Water supply is collapsing daily, and the boreholes and their high-tech are broken and not repaired. Prospects of long-term projects like command and distribution reservoirs, as well as household reticulation, are skeptical. That's how they put it. And many strikes are being realized every month, and communities are too disillusioned and are resorting to violence and vandalism. Now, this is what they recommend should be done by government. A turnaround plan to prioritize Nandoni pipeline and 35 megaliters command reservoir in order to increase water sourcing. Connecting the new bulk line into the existing village distribution reservoirs and household connections. Starting to fundraise for the 50 distribution reservoirs and household reticulations. Minimum approach to household reticulations in all villages in order to prevent further vandalism of the bulk lines, new and old. Safety of boreholes and package plants is important and must be budgeted for. Well-coordinated, this is a very important one again. Well-coordinated multi-stakeholder, that is private, public, and community involvement in fundraising for the last phases of the project. They actually volunteered to participate in fundraising themselves as a community. Increased involvement of local people in subcontracting and employment. The 38 villages which are excluded from the intervention should also be considered. That's what the people have asked us to do about the Guyani project. Just to remind the Honorable House, our Constitution provides for, amongst other things, representative and participatory democracy. And this is what the people of Guyana are asking for. We dare not fail them. The outcome of these induction sessions, therefore, have resulted in us actually having a deeper insight. Rather, the engagements have resulted in us having a deeper insight. We have developed a 5-pillar strategy so that we can now deal with this. We create a vision for both ourselves and the sector. We know that this will also, some aspects of it will be only fulfilled in the next medium-term strategic framework, 2019-24. But of course, we have to start. We think we need to have a National Water Resources and Services Authority. We take the experience from ESCOM, a National Water Resources and Services Regulator for South Africa. Now, once more, this is a point that emerged from the Portfolio Committee. The Honorable Faisal said, the department is a custodian of water, but it doesn't take advantage of that responsibility. A water resources and services value chain, a water resources and services master plan, and institutional rationalization and organizational alignment. These are things that we've got a massive number of institutions that are involved in water. But there's no indication that these are actually, they are coordinated in a manner that will ensure that the intentions are achieved at least cost, as the chairperson of the portfolio would say. We have streamlined the organogram of the department as well. We have added a chief operations officer in the office of the director general, because at the moment, he's on his own. We've introduced planning, monitoring and evaluation, infrastructure build and maintenance, water and sanitation resources and services reform regulator, international obligations and integrated governance and financial management services, corporate support services. These are very, very important so that we streamline and make sure that there's accountability, because there's no structure that really you can say fully, this structure is meant to account for what is to do things and account for things that they're doing. We've created that. We have decided to reduce construction costs by prioritizing the department's construction unit on all infrastructure build. We have a construction unit that is fully capacitated. We're not using it. We're going to use it now. Starting with Glen William Dam, we're going to use that. Accordingly, reprioritize the budget, and could be grateful if Parliament were to approve these reprioritized aspects of the budget. Honorable House Chairperson and members of this House, we are going to visit all the other projects so that we can see for ourselves, because we learned a lot from visiting only 2 at the moment. The most bizarre thing is that during phase 1 of the project in Guyana, as we have visited that, a staggering 3.5 billion rands has been used. But according to the people, not a drop of water has reached households and industries. Given the delivery model, even with the silo approach and bureaucratic fixation referred to in the paragraph above, which I've skipped, Chair, because of time, such an amount of money without achieving the intended social objective sits uncomfortably in one's conscience. The budget proposal we're presenting to this august House, Honorable Chair, we start by just talking to 3 problems which we inherited, problems which emanate from previous financial years. Firstly, historical contractual commitments which were not adequately budgeted for. The preliminary commitments for which contracts have been signed and service providers are currently rendering services amount to 7.5 billion rands, of which 6.3 billion is for our infrastructure projects and 1.1 billion is for our operational goods and services. Of this figure, 2 billion is expected to be paid to the service providers in the current financial year. We have also noted with concern that in certain instances, contracts without a value have been entered into, and these pose difficulty in accurately budgeting for them, which leaves the department vulnerable. Our bucket eradication program falls into this category, and this has historically caused unauthorized expenditure caused by overspending in the bucket eradication program. 292 million rands overspending was reported in the sanitation program in 2016-17, and additional overspending will be reported for the 2017-18 financial year. Poor project management within the department has created a situation where service providers are accelerating the work at a much faster rate than what the department had budgeted for. A typical example is that of Guyana, which was initially planned to be completed over 5 years and was budgeted for accordingly. However, the work was accelerated and completed within 2.5 years. There is poor alignment between the budget and project milestones, and in certain instances, the project milestones are much ahead of the budget. There are also crucial projects like the war on leaks which have not been budgeted for by the department. Urgent intervention is required in our project management as well as contract management to ensure that the project planning is aligned with the available budget and to prevent our projects from being ahead of the available budget. In terms of accruals and payables from the previous financial years, the department has a preliminary figure of 1.8 billion of accruals from the previous financial year, which could not be paid in the previous, that is now the financial year before the last, which could not be paid in the previous year due to insufficient funds. This will have to carry through, which will have a carry-through effect in the current year, as it will require the current year's budget to be used to pay the accruals instead of utilizing it for the activities as outlined in our annual performance plan. Thirdly, of these challenges, funds appropriated to the department which have been logged towards direct transfers to municipalities. The department has been allocated a budget of 15.5 billion rands for this financial year. I have, however, noted 5.4 billion rands of this budget is for direct transfers to municipalities under Schedule 5B of the Division of Revenue Act for our water services infrastructure grant, as well as regional bulk infrastructure grant. This allocation is meant for fully functional municipalities who can run on their own with the least degree of oversight from the department. These funds are locked and cannot be used towards anything else except transfers to municipalities, regardless of whether the municipalities are spending or not spending. We also have indirect transfers under Schedule 6B of DORA of only 3.5 billion rands under the Water Services Infrastructure Grant and Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant. This is meant for municipalities that are in distress rather, and don't have the necessary resources and capacity to implement projects in their own right, and need a higher level of oversight from the department. The department has a peculiar budgeting challenge wherein budget constraints exist under Schedule 6B, where we've allocated only 3.5 billion rands. Yet, where we have allocated more money, that is the 5.4 billion under Schedule 5B, the municipalities are unable to spend the money. Yet they are assumed to have the necessary capacity to do so. This indicates that there is a mismatch somewhere in our allocation of funds between Schedule 5B and Schedule 5C, 5B and Schedule 6B of DORA. Honorable Chair, there's a summary here of the budget that is set out in terms of the costed annual performance plan 2018-19. I won't read that, but it's in summary, it's a 15.5 billion rands. Details are contained in annexures A and B of this statement. Now we have reprioritized, particularly those that are, for example, you have 2007, 8, 10 years ago, financial year. So we prioritize those this year. So you'll see in terms of your APP that we have reprioritized some of them and request the House to really approve that so that we can deal with some of the problems that are old as that 10 years. But what is to be done? Achieving more with less. Reprioritize and streamline department spend to align it with annual performance plans with a view to reducing unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. Review delegation of powers with a view to reactivating and rebuilding the construction unit towards the formation of a state-controlled construction company with the following regime in terms of equity. State 51%, historically disadvantaged individuals 30%, and then direct investment from private sector 90%. Hasten the establishment of the transformation of the water trading entity into a water trading agency so that we can take control under the CFO. Hasten the establishment of catchment management agencies in the 7 outstanding regions. Identify all open-ended details and contracts with a view to approaching a court of law to have them declared null and void in order to arrest uncontrolled growth of accruals. Engage National Treasurer and COCTA insofar as the municipalities are concerned, and then all outstanding 2007, 8, etc., as I referred to earlier on. Take disciplinary action, including, in ways necessary, engaging law enforcement entities where such actions is necessary. Establish the National Water Resources Advisory Council, which is provided for in the law. Approach Cabinet for condonation of accruals that remain after every measure has been taken to reduce and ultimately eliminate them. In conclusion, Honorable Chair and members, the governing party is transforming South Africa into a developmental state. The architects of such a state cannot just be the government alone. It is the people themselves, together with their public representatives, ourselves sitting in this room. Now, it is the people themselves. I emphasize this because of the experience of Kiani and Glen William. It is the people themselves, together with their public representatives in all three spheres of government, participating in policy development, implementation, and evaluation of progress. The budget policy speech, this one, has sought to reflect what could be if our people were involved directly, working with their public representatives, as it has been happening here in this very house, where the members of this house have been very strict on this. I wish to thank my esteemed guests who have taken time off to be here with us today, including the Deputy Minister and the officials and my colleagues in Cabinet. Back to the beginning, I searched for the monthly calendar comments by our icon Nelson Mandela. For the month of May, he has the following to say: "Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got up again." Honorable House Chair and members of this august House, I humbly commend these budget proposals for financial year 2018. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'll now call upon the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation, Honorable Lulu Johnson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Comrades, friends, I wish to dedicate this budget vote debate to the 2,289 Cubans whose supreme sacrifice in Quito Valley was gallantly fought in pursuit of my freedom and yours, has and shall never be in vain. Long live international solidarity, long live. Fellow South Africans, once again, that time of the year has come, and it will certainly go, but with a different budget of 15.6 billion rand, whose implementation shall surely not be as business as usual. We do so mindful of the challenges confronted by the Department of Water and Sanitation and its entities, Water Research Commission, Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority, and the CMAs. This budget's sole purpose is to change the lives of our ordinary people for the better. And anyone who opposes such a budget is anti-people, anti-progress, and counter-revolutionary. We say all of this informed by our constitutional right, as enshrined in Section 27, subsection 1b, that everyone has a right to have access to sufficient water. Indeed, water is life and sanitation is dignity. Chairperson, following the maiden State of the Nation address by President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose theme, "Making Your Future Work Better, Learning from Madiba," has sent our country abuzz with excitement to follow in Madiba's footsteps to build a better South Africa for all through a Tuma Mina voluntary call. This call enjoins us to act as one in adhering to this call by saving water and report all leaks wherever they are found, in the spirit of Tuma Mina. As a reminder to our hard-working officials and those whose mission is about running this once a pride department down, this vision of the Department of Water and Sanitation remains that of being a dynamic, a people-centered department, leading an effective management of the nation's water resource to meet the needs of the current and future generations, guided by the values of transparency, fulfilling a mandate in an ethical and open manner, of respecting each other and attending to the needs of our citizens, excellence as leaders and innovators in the sector who get it right on time every time. And lastly, for everyone, as a caring employer who through teamwork serves South Africa's people. Our message to you, Minister, is simple. Do not allow any further slump in this pride of our nation, as we are here to work with you in this trajectory towards a caring, innovative, and ethical department that must allow respect for all. Fellow South Africans, as we commemorate 30th anniversary of an embarrassing 10-0 defeat at Kudukone Valley, a defeat that apartheid armed forces, together with their erstwhile allies, the US imperialists, will never forget for generations to come. The 35 engineers from Cuba, especially, are with us at this hour of need more than ever before. This time around, in enhancing our capacity in the far-flung rural areas as true internationalists to bring about a better life to all in our country. This is where a number of our engineers wouldn't wish to go. The Cubans, once again, are here with us, this time around, enhancing our capacity to build a better life for all. To quote Nelson Mandela, cooperation between Cuba and South Africa is for the benefit of our peoples. It is for the enrichment of individuals. It is not for the enrichment of the individuals or transnational corporations. It does not seek prosperity of a few or to obtain economic advantages from other countries. It is a South-to-South cooperation based on genuine solidarity. Colleagues and fellow South Africans, different to what we are witnesses, where one city in South Africa is up for the highest bidder by allowing one of its former leaders to bring a whopping 6 billion rand desalination plant from one murderous little Israeli in return for a 600 million rand that would have been used to fight an election in 2019 in advancing white privilege in South Africa. If there was to be any word than that, more than that, that would have been said. Without mentioning the name, obviously they would be knowing as to whom exactly am I talking to. As if that was not enough, the leader of that same political party goes about and effectively stoops so low by becoming a de facto mayor of this very city by pronouncing on key decisions related to day zero. Can we really be that desperate in luring the city's votes by hijacking the mayorship of this city, by opportunistically venturing into this important resource of our country, that is water? I don't know who that leader is. I haven't mentioned the name. Fellow South Africans, you as our supervisors have charged us as your employees with a responsibility of representing you and changing your lives through such tools like the budget we are debating today. We dare not fail you. We shall not falter in our responsibilities of holding the executives to account, given the magnitude of challenges in the form of irregular expenditure, fruitless expenditure, and wasteful expenditure. Our committee is unanimous in its resolve in the following recommendations, all in the interest of bringing water to the people of our country. The Department, number 1, of Water and Sanitation should provide a comprehensive report on the remedial action to be taken against transgressors who were and are implicated towards financial instability of the department and its entities. 2, the department should terminate the services of service providers who are undertaking work on behalf of the department without due process being followed as per National Treasury regulations and Public Finance Management Act. 3, all criminal activities committed in the awarding of tenders that are investigated by SIU must be referred to National Prosecuting Agency. Where double payments were made between department and TCTA, those must be investigated and money be recovered by September of 2018. National Treasury to undertake a forensic investigation on the procurement of the SAP systems. And lastly, a need to harmonize the accounting systems of BUS and SAP, as these are a source of confusion between the main account of WS and water trading entity respectively. Minister, The bucket eradication program continues to be an indictment against your department, as one deadline after another is missed. We equally wish to call on you to revisit and properly identify these buckets, as we have been debating in our committee about their allocation. Example is that others would say there are no, and that's your department, Minister, that there are no bucket systems on formal dwellings, I must say, in Gauteng, in KZN, in Northwest, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, and Western Cape. Now, these must be investigated, Minister, for in the Western Cape, we continue to have the buckets, like in other parts of the country. It's public knowledge that in Kailicha, you have Porta Porta. As representatives of our people, we do not mince our words when we say the projects that your department is implementing, Minister, must advance black industrialization through a process that follows the values set by your department, among others, a transparent and a process that allows innovation. 24 years into our democracy, South Africa continues to be dominated by white industrialists in the areas like manufacturing of valves, pumps, pipes, chemicals, among others. Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority is too critical for both investors and the people of our country to be involved in little fights that negatively impact in the governance of this all-important entity in fulfilling its mandate of raising capital for projects like Lesotho, Highland Water Projects, Mzimvubu, among others. The people of Lesotho must rest assured as we conduct our oversight role, the letter and spirit of October 1986 treaty shall be adhered to, despite the circumstances it was signed under. Of utter importance is a mutual benefit that can never compromise the sovereignty of each country. Once again, the values of transparency, respect, excellence must be the order of the day, especially on a project as important as this one. The importance of this project as it ventures into phase 2 cannot be overemphasized, given the more than 50% of Gauteng's water source being derived from this scheme. Colleagues, climate change is a reality in our country, especially as it affects water directly. Collaboration with all those that deal with climate change cannot be overemphasized, with the drought and floods that have become the order of the day with varying degrees of extremism. With every crisis that occurs, an opportunity presents itself. The situation we are in South Africa and the world over is no different, with mitigation programs that are being engineered through UNFCCC's Green Climate Fund, which I must admit we have not taken much advantage of, especially in the areas in the far-flung rural communities. Minister and the DG, here at home in Palito, a plant exists that cleans wastewater for Zimbali Estate potable water supply, whilst in Secunda, Sasol reuses its water 11 times. In conclusion, I have the pleasure to commend my colleagues in the committee across political lines who tirelessly work in unison, all in the name of bettering ordinary lives of our people. We have an administrative team in the form of Mrs. Madia Solomons, Mrs. Sherin Dawood, Mr. Tomani Mangnungfala, and Mr. Mulepo Malatswa in our committee that cannot be matched. I want to assure you, Minister, that our mission and that of your officials is the same, as we are bound by the same objectives of bettering the lives of our people out there. Keep it up. I wish to thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you. Honorable Johnson, Honorable L.J. Basson.
Chairperson, may I start off my budget speech and congratulate Minister Mkwinti with his appointment as Minister of Water and Sanitation. Minister, your department is in ICU with a toxic virus called Mama Action. Yes, Minister, you heard correctly. Mama Action virus that has infected this department to its core. Chairperson, now the question, will this department survive this toxic virus under Minister Mkwinti as the new minister? This department is bankrupt with unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure as the new norm. Irregular expenditure increased from 330 million in the 14-15 financial year with 1,800% to a shocking 6.4 billion in the 17-18 financial year. Let me repeat this, Minister, a shocking increase of 1,800% to 6.4 billion in irregular expenditure. Chairperson, this is how the ANC governs. But wait, there's more to come. Just wait, there's more to come. This department will have to pay more than 8 billion on accruals, overdrafts, unbudgeted commitments out of this financial year. This includes 2.2 billion on accruals, 200 billion on overdraft with the Reserve Bank, 848 million owed to municipalities and water boards, 2.5 billion payable to TCTA, and 737 million on the war of leaks not budgeted for. Minister, you need to explain to Parliament who instructed to hide the war on leaks under the administration budget and why. The payment of more than 8 billion will see this department not meeting its own strategic goals and objectives. The result, little to no infrastructure development, no maintenance, and no dam safety upgrades. This department is not living up to their own slogan, water is life and sanitation is dignity. Minister, your department failed to eradicate the filthy, undignified bucket toilets, a project aimed to be completed in 2016, still ongoing and cost billions. 3.5 billion, and Minister, you've mentioned it, 3.5 billion was spent on boreholes and water infrastructure. The result, still no water. Is this a good story to tell? No, that's not a good story. The failure of the collapse of the department started under the one and only Mama Action, Minister Nomvula. If the rand falls, we'll pick it up, Mokonyane. That made it their #1 priority to protect Jacob Zuma and ignored the Auditor General and National Treasury's reports on the failure of this department. Minister Mokonyane needs to take full responsibility for this mess in the department, and she definitely has a case to answer for failing millions of people struggling without water due to poor infrastructure, corruption, and the gross mismanagement of this critical department. Chairperson, while Minister Mokonyane has messed up water and sanitation, the ANC government and President Cyril Ramaphosa ignored this and just shifted her to another portfolio. This is a disgrace. Minister Mkwinti, the buck stops with you to fix this mess. No more talking. It's now your responsibility to sort out this department and remove officials that is involved in creating this mess. Chairperson, the DA wants to see the minister's plan and time frame on how he will turn around this department, as well as the tabling of the Water Master Plan and the Blue and Green Drop report. The DA welcomes the move to launch a full-scale parliamentary inquiry into the affairs and financial failure of this Department of Water and Sanitation. Minister, jou besluit om jou voorganger se ongeldige besluit oor die Clem Dam nietig te verklaar, word deur die DA verwelkom. Baie dankie daarvoor. Die heraanstelling van die departement se konstruksieeenheid sal belastingbetalers miljoene rande spaar. Volgehoue druk deur die DA het gehelp om die departement te verplig om 'n grondwetlike verpligting na te kom en die projek weer op koers te plaas. Die bou van die dam sal verligting bring vir landbou en dorpe wat afhanklik is van die water uit die Clem Dam. Voorsitter, die DA sal ook verseker dat Minister Mokonyane verantwoordelik gehou sal word vir hierdie vrugtelose uitgawe met die stop van hierdie projek. In conclusion, South Africa, we need total change to protect our water resources, and the DA will bring this change in the 2019 elections. The sooner the elections, the better for South Africa. I thank you.
Order, honorable members. Unfortunately, it's not at the disposal of this House to determine when the elections are going to be. Honorable Kaula.
Ngibonge sihlalo. Sihlalo ohloniphekile. Sizwelana kakhulu no Minister Nkwinti othathe izintambo eminyangweni okhungethwe izinkinga yezimali unomvula amankonyana udle wayiqeda imali no Ben 10. Honorable unomvula amankonyana uyiqedile imali no Ben 10. Esizwelana nawe ngoba ububambe kahle umnyango usuka kuwo nawe ubuvele ufathuza emnyangweni wezomhlaba kungekudala nje umnyango wezezimali kade uzobika eParliament ukuthi umnyango wezezimali usenkingeni enkulu ngasezimalini ngenxa yokuthi unomvula nomankonyana umoshe izigidi zezimali ku project engayindawo futhi engalandeli nenqubo mgomo yezamathenda nokuthi axoshe isibone ephinde enikwa izintambo emnyangweni waka communication ababiza ngokuthi i-new deal kwawena minister asikakuboni uthathela izinyathelo ezikhulu kulomnyango ezingxenye ukudliwa kwemali emnyangweni akukho futhi osakushilo ngohlelo onalo ukubuyisela lomnyango esimeni esijwayelekile inkinga yokushoda kwamanzi nala eCape Town iyakhombisa ukuthi inkulu inkinga esibheke kuyona uma singalungisi inkinga yengqala sizinda samanzi sike sathumela imibuzo eminingi phambilini emnyangweni wakho ngesimo sezamanzi kuzwelonke impendulo ezabuya kwacaca ukuthi silahlekelwa amanzi amaningi kakhulu ngenxa yamapayipi avuzayo angalungiswa abakhokhi bentela balahlekelwa izigidi zezimali ngonyaka ngenxa yalenkinga yamapayipi avuzayo angalungiswa nase Gauteng kusinenkinga yemali elahlekileyo engango 1 billion ngenxa yokuvuza kwamanzi lana eCape Town kade sisatshiswa ngo day 0 nakhona silahlekelwa izindodla zezimali ngenxa yokungalungiswa kwamapayipi inkinga yamanzi ingalungiseka kalula uma singaqala kuyo le yamapayipi kodwa asiubona umnyango uthatha izinyathelo ezinqala ukulungisa lasimo okucacile ukuthi into enilibele yiyo ukudla izimali ngalamathenda engafuni ukuwavala kunokuthi abantu bathole amanzi sibona kuqumba amaphakethe abangani benu anifuni ukuqasha abantu bakithi ukuthi basebenze umnyango kuze balungise izinkinga zamapayipi inkinga enkulu esinayo la nani nina abasi-DA ni busy nithatha inkampani zako Israel izona enizoyisebenzisa la niyeka abantu bala abahlupheka lalelani lenkinga yamanzi idinga ubuholo obuqotho okuyinto esingenayo njengamanje sidinga nezindlela zokuhluza amanzi olwandle uhulumeni makabhekane nenkinga yenkampani zezimayini ezichitha udoti emanzini kanjalo kuyimanje oba ngikhuluma nani lapha nje eClaywood kunemndeni evele yanqanyulelwa ipayipi yakagumbi ngomhla ka-18 April laba bantu abanawo amanzi angikhumbuli la eSouth Africa ukuthi kukhona la umthetho osekelo ukuthi abantu abaphuca ukuphila kwabo eNanda amanzi awekho from izolo yesterday kuze benamhlanje akho waterkan sinsenkingeni yokuthi uhulumeni kaANC qala bethu uyaqhuba manje akasaqhubi sebenza elinye nje itemu elikhombisayo ukuthi hayi kusho ukuthi bayadlala item kwaleli kalo baba wena ofikileyo. Njoba ngikhuluma nani nje sikhathele ukulona isitshela ukuthi niyathumana kusho ukuthi nithumanela khona ukuthi nambe niyontshontsha ngenomunye axakeke ngapha nimthathe niyomthuma ngapha hambe yontshontsha ngapha ahluleka kulomnyango niyamthatha hambe yontshontsha ngapha. We are sick and tired indaba yokuthumana indaba yokuntshontsha lamasela lawo.
Order. Honorable
Asikaphele sami isikhathi.
Mam Kawul.
Into eyenzeka awukancane nje ngishaya iDA. Into eyenziwa iDA la eWestern Cape ngenhlanhla nisebhadini.
Order.
La ni
Mam Kawula. Mam Kawula. Lunga ihloniphekile Mam Kawula. Ngizocela ubaba Nkosi uCebekhulu.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Our water resources are made up of natural and complex systems that demand unique systems of management. This department, with its national mandate and public trusteeship over our freshwater resource management, infrastructure, quality and pollution prevention responsibility, currently finds itself at the coalface of ensuring adequate access to clean water and sanitation in a time of great drought, water scarcity, and climate change in South Africa. It is failing in its mandate. It is failing to provide the good governance that required when addressing the challenges of water preservation and in guiding the entities that it works together with in ensuring equitable access of water to all South Africans. Poor administration in this department, silo management, action and daily operations being funded by an overdraft that runs into billions of rands is a management strategy doomed to failure. And the employment of persons in unfunded executive management positions without requisite qualifications only further weakens departmental management and service delivery outputs. Add to this the large number of consultants and exorbitant fees they charge instead of using their own engineers, and you have a perfect storm. Chairperson, the sad fact is that Treasury should have stopped releasing funds to the department after they discovered that funds were not administered properly. Additionally, the department went behind Treasury's back to fund from a reserve bank. Chairperson, our fresh water is fast becoming a scarce resource, and with its historic uneven distribution throughout the country and the ever-increasing demand for the resource, the challenge is ever compounding. The release and privatization of water rights and the control of bulk water infrastructure by some private individuals, such as at Jozini Dam, has been a major mistake, and all bulk water resources in private hands should be immediately placed under a review and determined whether or not such is in the best interest of South Africa. The department must also ensure that compliance and enforcement strategy are undertaken in implementing and by departmental officials with the requisite skills levels. The current culture of non-payment by both private consumers, state-owned companies and entities, and some of municipalities must be rectified. Chairperson, without water, there is no life. It is that simple. Our national water infrastructure must be sufficiently resourced, well-maintained, resilient, and adaptable. Benjamin Franklin once remarked that, I quote, "When the well is dry, only then we will learn the wealth of water," close quote. The IFP supports this budget vote debate in the trust that this department will get its house in order and not fail the people of South Africa in provision of this precious resource. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kabakolo. The next speaker is Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Allow me to start off by saying that the National Freedom Party supports the report of the Department of Water and Sanitation tabled here today. Honorable Chairperson, I have seen success in terms of the provision of water and sanitation in many parts of the country. And I think we must acknowledge the good work that has been done accordingly. However, the National Freedom Party is concerned about the state of affairs of the department presently, particularly in light of the report of the Auditor General, where the main account of the water trading entity, the irregular expenditure, unauthorized expenditure. Technically, Honorable Chairperson, this department is insolvent with liabilities far exceeding its total assets. Now, Honorable Chairperson, yes, we have to approve the budget. If you don't approve the budget, people won't get water and sanitation. You won't understand that. Honorable Johnson, I'm not in agreement entirely with what you are saying in terms of the bucket system. Many people in the Western Cape don't even have a bucket. Actually, they use the bush or they use the field. That is how bad it is in the Western Cape. Honorable Chairperson, and particularly Minister, allow me to express my disappointment. Even though you are aware that there's an absolute crisis in the Western Cape, you have done nothing particularly in intervening to ensure that the people of the Western Cape live in dignity. Now, I've heard the statement, water is life, sanitation is dignity. It's now a luxury for people in terms of water in the Western Cape. It is clear that the Western Cape administration, and particularly the city of Cape Town, is in a crisis. So when they talk about a crisis in the department, there's a crisis, bigger crisis on this side here. We know that extensive research was done many years ago by the independent organization, one of which is CAMISA. And that report was given to the DA, and they've done very little or nothing about it. They've actually ignored it. We know that this crisis affects the poorest of the poor. We know that there's a health crisis in the Western Cape as a result of the challenges with water. We know that listeriosis, new infections have increased in the Western Cape as a result of unhygienic conditions, again as a result of the water. We know that clinics, hospitals are badly affected. Imagine telling them to only flush their toilets when the color is mellow yellow after 5 or more people have used the toilet because of their poor management. We know that water licenses have been issued to Coca-Cola and things, where they get benefits and where they get kickback. We know that people's taps are automatically running out. We know that people are receiving water bills of 30, 40, 50, 60, 88,000 rand in the Western Cape, and very little or nothing. And there we are, some of the bills, Honorable Minister, 88,000, 66,000, 44,000, and they are told their services will be shut if they don't pay. People that were paying 2,000 rand a month for water, now getting bills of 66,000, 88,000, 44,000. And there it is, if you want to see it. Now, Honorable Chairperson, the time has come. The time has come for the department to intervene in the Western Cape, because the people in the Western Cape are affected very seriously in terms of the water and things. Now, Honorable Chairperson, let me also add that the Democratic Alliance gave a contract of 650,000 to their own cadre, their own PEL, in order to communicate the message in terms of their failure to manage the city of Cape Town in terms of the water. This is corruption, so we're calling on the department to intervene in this matter as a matter of urgency, because the people of the Western Cape are under serious, they are suffering to such an extent that the Western Cape government, particularly the city of Cape Town, does not
Thank you very much, Honorable
Their infighting, their management, their corruption continues. The National Freedom Party supports the report on condition that the department put measures to deal with the challenges that they are facing. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is the Honorable Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation.
Honorable Chairperson, Minister for Water and Sanitation, Minister Nkwinti, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Ambassadors, Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee, water sector partners, government officials, members of the Diplomatic Corps, all our sector strategic partners, ladies and gentlemen, indwendwe zethu zonke, molweni. The Minister of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Nkwinti, has just presented the 2018-2019 budget of the department to the nation. I stand here as the Deputy Minister, taking you from the clear vision, plans, strategies aligned to this budget presented here today. We further would like to take South Africans in our confidence and assure them that we will implement, monitor, and evaluate programs and projects to sustain the plans as we promised today. We are tabling this budget vote for service delivery to our people in the dedication to our inspirational struggle hero and heroine of times, Comrade Nelson Mandela and Mama Albertina Sisulu. We owe them the assurance that we will continue to change the lives of our people through service delivery. In this instance, provision of water and sanitation to all our water, leaving no one behind. Honorable Chairperson, the figures tabled here today support the plans that the Minister spoke to, making the budget an enabler to achieve the vision of the department through expansion of services to the previously disadvantaged whilst exercising financial prudence. This will be done in support of socio-economic programs and job creation. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to take you back to establishment of the Department of Water and Sanitation as proclaimed in 2014, which required a long-term plan that will provide an integrated model to roll out water and sanitation services. The response to this was the National Water Sanitation Master Plan. I'm here, therefore, glad to report the great progress achieved on this front, which Minister Nkwinti signed off to serve at Cabinet tomorrow on the 23rd May 2018. We hope for your support in this regard. It is our belief that this master plan will contribute to improved service delivery in line with the Constitution, the National Development Plan, and the achievement of Agenda 2030 of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Department of Water and Sanitation has made progress in advancing the role of women in the sector through mentorship program, which successfully meets the needs of the beneficiary through a strict, tailored program that transfers experience, knowledge, skills on time, and required standards. This program will continue to assist the department to achieve the socio-economic transformation that we aspire for. 2018 will be no different in terms of the awarding of the Department of Water and Sanitation bursaries. These bursaries are afforded to internal deserving employees and tertiary students who pursue studies in the field of water and sanitation. Further, this bursary program will continue to skill and retain required capacity in the key strategic programs and different streams, ensuring excellence and experience as part of career pathing strategy of the department. The Learning Academy in the department has an intake of 40 learners in 22 universities across the country. We also have 8 interns and 44 graduate trainees who are monitored by technical managers within the department. We have now recruited 10,000 learners for training on combating water leaks in communities. Today, I want to report that the first phase of learners will be completing their training in September in the current financial year, while we are continuing with the second phase of the program. Chairperson, let me further report that the Minister gave a new vision on how the department will continue into the third phase, working with municipalities as part of the broader build, operation, train, and transfer program within the department's infrastructure branch. I'm proud to announce that 5 of our learners who have completed their artisan training are now employed, 4 at Elford in Benoni, and 1 female plumber is employed as a facilitator at the Oliphants Fontaine Artisan Academy. I therefore call upon our municipalities and government departments targeted as beneficiaries of this project to start preparing to absorb these artisans and address their water challenges, water loss challenges. I would also like to acknowledge work done with the public-private sector partners. The department appreciates the continued positive response of our institution in this regard. Chairperson, our motto as a sector remains unchanged. Water is life and sanitation is dignity. It is on this note that we continue with our commitment to restore the dignity of our people through our sanitation program. To improve on this front, we will continue to work with our sister departments of Science and Technology, Department of Trade and Industry, the Water Research Commission, and the private sector, both local, global, and develop and test the next generation toilets. On the progress in this regard, I'm happy to report that of 52,249 buckets in the formal settlement that were to be eradicated, 41,248 buckets have been eradicated. The remaining 11,001 is still work in progress with the budget of 1 billion that has been allocated under estimated national expenditure for the current 2018-2019 financial year. The focus will be on the Free State and Northern Cape Province. South Africa has been bestowed the responsibility to chair the Southern African Development Committee, that is SADC, since 2017. Following this, the Department of Water and Sanitation will convene the SADC meeting of ministers responsible for water in this calendar year. The main aim is to review progress on water and sanitation program in the region and further explore programs supporting Nexus approach to climate resilience. This year, South Africa and Swaziland celebrated 25 years of Nkomati Basin Water Authority partnership of good practice on water cooperation and joint planning. South Africa is also assisting Namibia to mitigate the impact of drought which affected the agriculture and food production in the country's southern region. Our global relations with countries in the south and north demonstrate huge benefits for the water sector on exchange of technical expertise, information sharing, technology transfer, technical programs, policy benchmark, and multilateral partnerships. This we do with countries that include Netherlands, Denmark, Cuba, Sweden, Japan, China, Belgium, Iran, Italy, and Spain. Some of these embassies, I think they are represented here. I invited these embassies. I know that 5 of them are here with us. Hi, guys. The partnership with these countries yielded real mutual and beneficial outcomes. 4 young people benefited from South Africa-Japan relationship where they were trained through the Japan International Cooperation Agency. They trained and qualified in master's degree, 3 specializing in engineering and 1 in international relations. Some of these beneficiaries are here with us in the gallery. I would want them if they could stand up and say hi. My students, please, will you? Hi. Another important multilateral platform that provides good opportunities, I was given this mandate by the minister, for future water sector engineers, entrepreneurs, and researchers to benchmark the good skills against their peers internationally is hosted by Stockholm International Water Institute in Sweden. This event takes place annually following series of interprovincial competitions where the best team representing the country gets to showcase a winning project that provides solution in the water sector at that level. Chairperson,
Unfortunately, Deputy Minister, your time has expired. Thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Groenewald.
Voorzitter, ek wil begin om te sê dat na my mening is die belangrikste departement is water en sanitasie. En die rede hoekom ek dit sê is, jy weet, daar was altyd 'n advertensie gewees van die departement wat sê future wars will not be about land but about water. Nou weet ek nie of dit is hoekom die minister nou van grondsake oorgeskuif is na water toe nie. Maar die feit van die saak is, hoe word daar opgetree deur die departement om te verseker dat die kosbaarste aspek van die lewe wel bewaar word? En ek wil spesifiek vir die agbare minister verwys na die slukdam by Kuma in die Matlosana munisipaliteit. 'n Reuse slukdam wat nou al 2 keer gestort het direk binne in die Valrivier. As jy op Google ingaan, 'n Google Map en jy gaan kyk, dan is die stroom van daardie slukdam gelykstaande aan die van die Koekemoerspruit in die Valdam. Dis bokant die waterwerke wat die hele Matlosana gebied moet voorsien van water. Ons het klagtes ingedien by die groen skerpioene. Maar wat gebeur? Niks. Agbare minister, u het met u openingstoespraak het u gepraat van die samewerking tussen die departement, private persone, private instansies. Ek gaan vir u sê wat is die probleem. Wanneer sulke beplanning gemaak word, dan kom die gemeenskap bymekaar en hulle opper hulle besware. En hulle sê maar daar word nie aan al die vereistes voldoen nie. Aanvanklik in hierdie spesifieke geval van die slukdam was dit aanvanklik afgekeur deur water en sanitasie. Maar toe ons weer sien, toe word dit toegestaan. Dis nou voor u tyd, maar ek wil vir u inlig wat gebeur. En nou dra ons die gevolge. Agbare minister, ek wil werklike beroep op u doen, dat as daar klagtes ingedien word, dat u onmiddellik sal optree. Laastens wil ek vir u sê, ons is 'n waterskaars land. En u moet die politieke voorkeure van die regering moet u op sy skuif, want die voorste kenners met die voorste tegnologie van ontsouting is Israel, is die Jode. Hulle was hier. Hulle was bereid om hulle kundigheid aan te bied, maar as gevolg van politieke oortuigings is hulle van die hand gewys. Ek wil vir u sê, as u dit erns het om te sê dat ons moet verseker dat die mense van Suid-Afrika moet water hê, dan sal u die politieke voorkeure ondergeskik stel aan die van die mense wat water moet kry. Ek dank u.
No, thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Visser, and it's her maiden speech.
Thank you, Chair. The department is in no way fulfilling its mandate, vision, mission, or values. It's not complying with implementation relating to the functions of the National Water Act. Hence, all our puddles, streams, rivers, and dams became toxic sewer polluted ponds. The department has a long and sordid history of failures. In 2012, Minister Edna Molewa red-flagged water in the Nakamudiri Malema district as not fit for human consumption. This status has never been lifted to date. In 2014, the DA had to apply for a PIA to release the blue and green drop report confirming the complete failure of the wastewater management structures in South Africa. In 2014, 35 young children died in Itikeng and Achisanang, consuming contaminated water. Walking through those areas recently confirmed conditions had deteriorated significantly and human dignity is seen as meaningless. The lack of political will, appointment of untrained, unskilled employees, financial mismanagement, poor financial discipline, and lack of maintenance in municipalities has caused extensive damage to infrastructure with broken pumps, stolen cables, failed water augmentation projects, resulting in dry reservoirs, dry taps, and disgruntled people. I know this to be true because I was there. Taking water into Pelindaba at 11 p.m. at night to assist a mother with a hungry baby, having formula but no water, mealie meal but no pop. Having formula, thirsty children without formula, without food, and no ANC leaders making a plan. Pelindaba Ward 10 Twahing has had no water since 2003, even though 1,000 RDP houses were built with flush toilets. Sannieshof, Delarival en Ottesdal is meer sonder water as met water in die krane. Waterlekkasies veroorsaak dat strate, riviere word en krane wind uitblaas. Nie vir 'n paar uur nie, selfs vir so lank as 200 dae onlangs, waarin nie die burgemeester of die munisipale bestuurder een keer enige van hierdie areas besoek het om hulle te vergewis van die impak van geen diens nie. I know, I was there. 4 months, I ran a water crisis center with a humble 80,000 litre storing capacity, assisting people subjected to the most inhumane conditions, which is withholding a basic human need from them. The impact on the economy of supra-small dorpies can be clearly seen when businesses depending on water to deliver services cannot operate, with some even closing doors. Almost all rural villages in Northwest are daily, weekly and monthly without water, with neither any of the government structures acknowledging any accountability. Lichtenburg het ernstige watertekorte sedert 2012. Die impak op besighede en industrieë het reeds onvervangbare skade aan die ekonomie verrig. Net een van die groot maatskappye verloor R1 miljoen per dag as gevolg van onvoldoende water in die verwerking van melkprodukte wat ook werksgeleenthede affekteer. I have been to Setlagoli and Madibugu, where people dig deep pits in the dry Setlagoli riverbed and lower small preschool children to the bottom to harvest seepage water in buckets, pulled up to surface when full. The 2012 Vryburg-Pudimong pipeline of Sedibeng and Dr. Ruth Mompati district fails its function due to infrastructural non-compliance, pumping 6 million litres daily to Vryburg, but only 1 million litres runs into the Vryburg reservoir. That is a staggering loss of 5 million litres per day, because due to prepaid chocho being paid to ANC officials and leadership, impacted on the lack of quality of infrastructural components, because they're good at manga business. Senior MISA officials visited Sannieshof last week after I laid criminal charges, declared the town to be an environmental disaster with sewer flooding the whole town. This is a result of the non-payment of the service provider since last year, which has forced him to stop no services. This department needs urgent and aggressive interventions. Although we say water is life, W.H. Auden said, thousands have lived without love, but not one without water. I thank you.
No, thank you very much. The next speaker is Honorable Mnguni.
Sorry, Slalo.
Honorable Chairperson.
Sorry, kancane Slalo. Bengishiya before to Mnguni angene njengenkosi.
Yebo, Mkambo.
No, sinenkinga la. Azikho ilimi zethu, especially lesethu kwimpela ke saba abamnyama ngisizwa nhlobo. Kwenzakalani eSouth Africa sakhile? Only English kuphele lana.
Okay, sto check Mkambo.
No, izwe lethu leli.
Okay, thanks very much. Honorable Mnguni.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Ministers and Minister of Water and Sanitation present here, Honorable Deputy Minister and Deputy Ministers that are present, Honorable Members, ladies and gentlemen, I rise on this occasion on behalf of the African National Congress in support of this budget vote 36 allocation to the Department of Water and Sanitation. The Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his maiden State of the Nation address, said, I quote, "Now is the time to lend a hand. Now is the time for each of us to say, send me. Now is the time for all of us to work together in honor of Nelson Mandela to build a new, better South Africa for all. I close quote. Chairperson, the President intends to lead from the front as he promised that he will assemble a team to speed up implementation of new projects.
Chairperson, take your seat?
Honorable Kaula was correct. There's still no translation. That's not fair.
Yes, we're attending to
But
it.
then the speaker continues to speak.
We can't adjourn the House. They're still attending to the problem. Continue, Honorable Ngun. We're attending to the matter of the interpretation.
The President intends to lead from the front as he promised that he will assemble a team to speed
Point of order.
May you take a seat, Honorable
Kusho ukuthi iqiniso iNC ukuthi ayinendaba nabantu abamnyama kuzodebate la sifuna ukwazi ukuthi kwenzakalani sonke ngama language ethu awuhlale phansi mina ngikwi floor
Ngiyakuzwa Mam Khawula, it's not only isintu esinga-interpretwa.
yes ngishilo mina ngithi sinama language awu 11 la eSouth Africa
Ngisho nesibhunu asi-interpretwa. There's no interpretation at all. So we are asking the administration to attend to the matter. But we can't suspend business
Khuza
of the
lamhlonisho ukuthi ngingathi ngiyakhuluma uyasukuma ngisamile
Sikuzwile Mam Khawula.
wash out wena
Chairperson, I think it's not correct that it's the intention of the ANC to undermine languages. I think that is not correct. What must be addressed is that there must be a proper interpretation in Parliament. The ANC supports all languages to be used in the House. So, Mam Khawula, you must withdraw. Who to tell ANC, you must withdraw.
No, can we address the issue of interpretation? The explanation is that it's not a new matter. It has been happening since we started the EPC process. Because there is a shortage of interpreters in Parliament, because we've got 3 mini plenary that are currently running at the same time. So what is currently happening is that if Mam Khawula was speaking in Zulu, then there is interpretation to English. When Groeneval was here speaking in Afrikaans, there was Honorable Groeneval, there was interpretation to English. So that has been the arrangement by Parliament. Unfortunately, it's nothing new that we can do about it. Honorable, I see Honorable Panda wants to say something.
Chairperson ke leboga tlhaloganyo e beileng mo tafoleng mme ntse ke reditse ga go bua Honorable Groenewald ne ke utlwa ka sekgwa ka gore motho o teng o thusang gore re tlhaloganye se se bewang ke baemedi ba bangwe yaanong ga mme Khawula na bua ka seZulu ne ke utlwa gore a reng ke tshepa gore se re ka se kopang ke gore motho o re thusang motlhomong a tswele pele ka seZulu gore Ma Khawula a ikutlwa a kgotsofetse ka gore utlwa se se dirwang ke ntlo ye ke a leboga.
No, thanks very much. I think they will attend to that, in particular for Honorable Khawula. Can you proceed, Honorable Ngun?
The President intends to lead from the front as he promised that he will assemble a team to speed up implementation of new projects, particularly water projects, health facilities and road maintenance to address delays in some of the projects that take time to get off the ground and enhance our effort. As everyone has been saying, water is life and sanitation is dignity, Chairperson. Water has got no substitute. That is why our progressive constitution has put water access as the basic human right. It places the onus on government to ensure the progressive realization of this right. In this regard, the average water access per household stood at 88.8% in 2016. On the other hand, the percentage of households with access to RDP standardized sanitation, which is flush toilet or septic tank, and a speed toilet with a ventilation pipe, stood at 80.9% in 2016. These are the latest figures from the reliable statistics of South Africa's General Household Survey of 2016. Furthermore, about 26,957 bucket sanitation systems have been eradicated as at May 2017, while there are still 25,292 that still have to be eradicated. But this will mark the end of the bucket sanitation system in formal residential areas once the number that I've indicated to have been addressed. This is a classical example of a radical service delivery to our people. These figures bear testimony to the successes that have been achieved since 1994 with regard to eliminating poverty and inequality in as far as access to water is concerned. This is an example of the people-centered and people-driven and sustained development based on water access to all, including the vulnerable. Much has been done since 1994. I have got a sad story to share with this August House chairperson. The emerging black farmers have no access to water. In January 2018, the committee conducted an oversight visit in Mpumalanga. We visited Mr. Masego's farm called Henningston in Barberton. He was awarded this farm in 2010 through the land acquisition program of the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. The farm does not have electricity and water. There are 3 earth dams in the farm that are currently emptied due to the blockage of water canal by the neighboring white farmer upstream. This farm has got a servitude right that allows Mr. Masego to draw water through the neighbor's farm. It has got a 100-hectare water rights, which Mr. Masego is currently not enjoying, even though he is required to pay for water rights to the irrigation board. The committee chairperson also met this irrigation board, which represents the owners of the water rights in that area. The leaders of the irrigation boards are all white, which goes without saying that black people are not involved in the use and management of water. This is an indication of inequality of the highest order in a democratic country. The majority are still feeding on crumbs, while the minority are feeding in abundance. South Africa has witnessed the worst drought in the past 2 years, House Chair. In fact, all provinces were classified as national disaster areas, although the majority of these provinces have since recovered, with an exception of Western, Eastern, and Northern Cape. However, I want to illustrate that water is in the hands of the minority. In the midst of dealing with drought in the Western Cape, a smallanyana group of white farmers donated 10 million of cubic meters of water from Eikenhof Dam to assist Cape Town with drought relief. The Chief Executive Officer of Groenland Water Users Association, Johan Groenewald, is on record saying the water is a donation from farmers in Elgin and Grabo. Now my question is, how do you donate water that does not belong to you? This is a confirmation that water is in the hands of the minority. In this regard, I urge the department to fast-track the implementation of water allocation reform program. I am delighted to learn that through this budget, the department will validate and verify the existing lawful water use in 6 management areas, building towards the implementation of water allocation reform across the country by 2021. To add salt on the existing wound, the City of Cape Town has identified a number of strategically situated areas in which to develop desalination plants in order to augment water supply, using Israel to do that. Desalination is not a cheap process, House Chair. It is very expensive. Even the water that is produced through this process is very expensive. Our communities will not afford this kind of water. But someone somewhere decided it must be implemented because they want to enrich themselves. Therefore, my question is, who is going to benefit from the construction and operation of these desalination plants. These plants are employed to alienate and deprive our people their basic human rights as guaranteed in the Constitution. Let me reiterate, Chairperson, the words of our chairperson in the committee, Honorable Mlungisi Lulu Johnson, in the budget speech, vote 36 in 27, where he said, let me open quote, Honorable Minister, the season we find ourselves in calls for doing more with less. Part of doing more with less involves avoiding all unnecessary costs, such as fines and interest on late payments. Leave no room for fraud and corruption. We should also ensure that we have competent human capacity in all relevant programs. We need engineers, scientists, project managers, lawyers, among many other competencies to ensure that we do it right the first time. I close quote. Leadership is key when you are working with limited resources, Chairperson. We can have all human capital in the right places, but without smart leadership, we are set up to fail. Boards of all entities must be constituted with competent and well-qualified people with different backgrounds such as finance, law, supply chain, human resource, and others. This will ensure efficiency in the running of all of these entities. In order to deliver water service to our people, we need an appropriate legislation that is in line with the Constitution of the Republic. The legislation that will guide the process of water service delivery. The legislation that will ensure that there is equity and sustainable development. To this end, Chairperson, Budget Vote 36 intends to have the amended National Water Bill approved in the medium term. This will be a progressive step towards realizing equitable water service delivery. Furthermore, this will address the current administrative and technical failures and challenges identified in the National Development Plan. These challenges, Chairperson, include lack of law enforcement, delaying in issuing water use licenses, poor implementation of the broader water resource policies, to mention just a few. In order to deliver water to the people by industries and businesses, you need appropriate infrastructure that is in good working condition. This infrastructure includes dams, pipelines, power lines, and pumps. In 2012, the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission produced a National Infrastructure Plan, which contains a list of strategic infrastructure projects. One of them is the Strategic Infrastructure Project number 18, which is the water and sanitation infrastructure, which seeks to address the estimated backlog of inadequate water supplies to 1.4 million households and 2.1 million households with basic sanitation. Furthermore, these projects will involve the provisions of sustainable supply of water to meet social needs and support economic growth. This SIP 18 will also provide for the new infrastructure, rehabilitation and upgrading of existing infrastructure, as well as improve the management of water infrastructure. In this regard, the plan to establish the Water Infrastructure Agency and the independent economic regulator is in the medium term, is a step in the right direction that will ensure consolidation of all bulk water infrastructure activities. The independent economic regulator will also provide a platform for proper regulation of the water pricing in the country. In our endeavor to attain radical socio-economic transformation, Chairperson, I am delighted to learn that the regional bulk infrastructure, rehabilitation of dams, refurbishment of water schemes, commissioning and handover of augmentation project will be funded through this budget. These are some of the examples of this project, even though some of them are delayed while some are at various stages. For example, the Val Hamaraha Phase 1 and 2 in the Northern Cape and Chodzini Pipeline in KZN. Just mentioning the few. Notwithstanding the radical and progressive nature of this budget vote, there are a number of challenges that should be addressed, Minister, in order to effectively deliver the mandate of this budget vote. To mention a few, Chairperson, is the poor performance as a result of lack of strategic planning and performance management, procurement and contract management, including expenditure management in the department. It's also the poor leadership, Minister, in the department that has administratively led to the recurrence of poor performance and lack of consequence to the management team, especially when we look at the issues of Director General and Deputy Director Generals who are responsible for various programs. It cannot be business as usual when people are not delivering as per their performance contract. These issues must be addressed in order to maximize the use of this budget, and above all, to improve the lives of our people, both black and white, including the ones that do not have the color and the names. The ANC is a very caring organization. It is the only organization that can take the people forward. The only organization that can mix both the whites and the blacks, the vulnerable and the rich, and be able to make sure that they get the service delivery as it is needed. Nina niyasho lithi sine sinenkinga, nina ningiboma kosha. Niyakosha nje umuntu makanisebenzela kahle niyakosha. You are still relying on your previous fathers.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mnguni. Your time has expired.
I called this issue of saying,
thank you very much. Your time has expired.
Lokusele nje kokuthini sishoda ngawe.
Phelele isikhathi sakho Mnguni. The next speaker is Honorable Madisha.
Thank you, Chairperson. Minister Ndiabulela, you are one of the only two ministers that's always here, yourself and Mrs. Pando, in all times. So I hope we'll be able to listen and hear so that we then can be able to move forward. Chairperson, 10 years ago, an acclaimed scientist, Dr. Anthony Tatten, was suspended and charged with bringing the CSIR into disrepute for warning that South Africa had run out of surplus water and that for us to remain silent was bordering on criminal negligence. That, according to Tatten and others, we are in the process of unfolding national water crisis. It's actually a fact. Nationally, our demand for water exceeds supply, and this imperils our growth and development prospects. And whilst this crisis unfolds, the Department of Water and Sanitation has been corrupted and looted and its capacity neutered. COPE demands that those that have facilitated the collapse of the department and have been enriched through the plundering and looting of the department and the manipulation of the supply chain management processes must be held to account and have consequences. They must face consequences and the might of the law, and Parliament must play its role herein without fear or favor. We need a paradigm shift in how we think about and approach water in our context as an arid country. As Tatten points out, water is not a finite resource from which we must now squeeze the last drop. Rather, it is an infinitely renewable resource. And so, we need to concentrate on the recovery of potable water from wastewater and water contaminated by gold and coal mining, the desalination of seawater, and the sustainable use of our groundwater. I want to emphasize, through your chair, that of course, unless we do all those things, we are going to be faced with what is actually permeating the country at the moment. where what we have is a situation where electricity, for example, the problems of electricity that we're faced with go beyond 356%. Now that is supposed to be going to and for the people of our country, and our people cannot really access electricity. 356%. Now I'm referring to the people of South Africa, have been subjected to brazen corruption and the crippling of our means of electricity generation. And something truly has got to be done. I hope, Honorable Minister, you can have a chance. Go to Guyana, for example, in Limpopo, where there are very serious problems and some people killed each other.
Thank you very much.
Why? Because of this kind of problem. They could not get water there at the pipe. So those of us who are from the rural areas...
The next speaker is...
Please,
Honorable Madish, your time has expired. The next speaker is Honorable Carlo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for the opportunity. As we congratulate and, of course, welcoming you as a newly appointed Honorable Minister, we must of course, express our disappointment because the former president appointed the women of high caliber with good structural credentials. The women whom we thought they know and understand the sufferings of the indigenous African women in this country, more especially in the rural areas. We are very much disappointed that they have brought this department to its knee. The draft National Water and Sanitation Master Plan catalogues national water resources as the single most important catalyst and driver of socio-economic growth and development. However, the nomenclature of the NDP and the draft National Water and Sanitation Master Plan is increasingly frustrated by the following indiscretions: maladministration, qualified audits, lack of internal audits, procurement irregularities, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure, amongst others. Honorable Chair, it is matter of public knowledge that the ministry and its entities have been bleeding money profusely. The water trading entity set at 2.9 billion overdraft in 2017 financial year, 1.7 billion in irregular expenditure was canvassed in 2015-2016 Auditors General's report. 110.8 million was overspent by the ministry in 2017-18 financial year, and 31% of the ministry's annual performance plans were not achieved. Honorable Chair, in view of these challenges, the African Independent Congress sees this budget vote as a great opportunity to neatly address these misdemeanors. We call upon the new Minister to inculcate a new culture of compliance, prudent fiscal probity, austerity measures, and value-based leadership. We are cognizant of the scale of financial hurdles facing the ministry. Notwithstanding, the AIC support this budget, and we are hopeful, Honorable Minister, that you will do things better. The people in the rural areas are suffering. As we speak,
Thank
are
you,
still
Honorable Gallo. Time is up.
wrestling with four-legged animals over water. I thank you.
Siyabonga mhlonishwa. Sicela na umhlonishwa Hugo. Oh, Hugo. Simzwele kancane ke inkulumo yakhe yokuqala kulendlu yesishamthetho. Naye ke kodwa aziphathe kahle ukuze nimhloniphe naye. Lungahloniphekile.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, Honorable members, and our guests in the gallery. Everyone has a right to have access to water. The fundamentals of sustainable water have been washed away by mismanagement, corruption, inefficiency, and the blame game, led by an ineffective former minister, Nomvula Monkonyana. The responsibility of bulk water supply is inarguably the responsibility of national government, which has failed on its core mandate, namely to supply bulk water to many municipalities across the country. The city of Cape Town is still in a dire position due to worst drought the city has seen in over 100 years. Its water supply near depletion and was fast approaching day zero, the day on which the taps would be turned off. When the call was made to reduce consumption and save water in light of day zero, the city's residents responded magnificently and got stuck in. Businesses, farmers, and many others took action and proactively saved water. This shows that we are better together. As ons saamwerk, dan werk ons beter. All thanks to the leadership of the Western Cape Provincial Government and the city officials. Thus far, the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, under the guidance of DA's Ethel Trollip, has removed more than 4,000 bucket toilets. This, as the Department of Water and Sanitation has failed to address the bucket eradication program. In contrast, the previous minister, Nomvula Monkonyane, should be put to digging trenches of water pipes, not spin doctoring government messages. That would be equity to the sweat for the billions misspent during her tenure at the department. Her tenure seems to have mostly benefited consultants who acted as supposedly implementing agents. This greed-focused mindset has left communities across Africa high and dry, with the country still lacking a proper water plan. In the face of future increased water scarcity and drought, many people across the country still don't have access to clean running water. The situation is dire, with the department and municipalities owing the water boards millions of rands. As the Democratic Alliance, we recommend the establishment of a water tariff regulator. The water boards should return to their core mandate to provide actual water services.
Member, your time is up.
Ndiyabulela.
Enkosi. Honorable Chauke.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and let me take this opportunity to smile with Honorable Bason. Chairperson, what we fail to understand is that who came with this concept of a budget and for who to use? Now, Chairperson, it's very clear that the bucket system that we're dealing with today is part and parcel of the apartheid system that we have to deal and clean up with. Now, the ANC now has a responsibility to provide clean, proper sanitations for the poorest of the poor in their own land. Now, I've raised this point before in the debate. And when I was raising this point before, I thought that the colleagues in the DA will be able to respond. And the response I expected was a response that says, we are very sorry for the mess we have caused. Because what they have done, and they are continuing doing it, as much as they can claim that in the Western Cape they are doing the best. Yes, whatever that you are doing, you're still continuing with the baguette in Kailicha. The kind of a system that we are putting there for our people still experience a bucket that will be full by the end of the day, that will be in the house for the whole day, that will be collected once on Friday. This is what our people are going through every day, and you fail to address that particular issue. Now, the ANC has a responsibility, and this responsibility has been given to the Department of Water and Sanitation. Now, water and sanitation goes exactly with what I'm addressing again, that our people today, Kolabanat, as much as you can make noise, you don't know, you have never used a bucket in your life, you have never seen it, you only know for a fact that black people are using a bucket. You have never tried it, in fact, once in your life. You have never tried it.
Honorable members.
So don't raise this issue with me.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Order. Honorable members, don't drown the speaker on the podium from both sides of the House. What's the point of order, Honorable
Rule
members?
82, Madam Chair. Members are to refer to each other in respectful terms.
You are correct. Honorable member, you know the rule.
My apologies, Honorable Kolabanat has never used the bucket, does not know how the bucket looks like. She has never, I know it is because I've been using the bucket where I grew up, there was never a flushing toilet. Every day on Sundays in Swartregens, on Sunday all the buckets will be full in that whole town. Then we'll wait for Monday for the tractor to come and collect those buckets in the afternoon when the whole town is smelling. None of you were there. None of you were there. But therefore, let me come back to my engagement, Chair, because I know that I always provoke this side because they don't want to hear the truth. Now, the issue, therefore, and the accountability that all of us know is that the Director General of the department takes responsibility for accountability in the Department of Water and Sanitation. So the minister does not play any role in dealing with issues of tenders, in dealing with issues who must get what. The minister does not do that. The issue is that you are very obsessed with Honorable Nomvula Mukonyane because you know she's firebrand, she's top, she's engaging on issues. That's your issue. That is your issue. There's nothing wrong about anything except the name Mukonyane. For you, when you hear that name, you just get sick. Now let us address issues that were raised. Honorable Gallo is correct, Honorable Gallo, that the point that all of us are very worried of the current challenges in the water. Now, the budget that we are dealing with today, Chairperson has raised a number of points. Now, the ANC now says there must be investigation. Those that who are accountable with regard to misappropriated public money must be brought to books. For the first time, we in fact invoking the Hawks to come in. We're calling on the National Treasury, we're calling on the Auditor General to come in because it's clear that it seems that people are now diverting from the mandate because we cannot afford one situation that this department must collapse. We're not going to afford that. So those elements that all of us, we know that at some point some of them were charged and they were returned back to the department because the department did not, in fact, adhere to the 60 days time that we have to charge a person when he's found to have been, who have done something. Now we are saying, therefore, that the minister please attend to this matter as a matter of urgency. Because some of these officials that we found who have misappropriated public money are still given the responsibility again to run with this budget. Now, what we are calling for in the Treasury is that Treasury should put in place a system to monitor this department. Because if we don't do that, we're going to continue the next financial year, we're going to continue with irregular expenditures, fruitless and wasteful expenditures. So Treasury has that responsibility. It's their mandate. Now, Honorable Hundarvar, I really always appreciate your inputs and your critique, but why we don't address the issue of the Lesotho Highlands and what led to the apartheid South Africa to go and capture the water of Basotho? One of these problems is that the water that we get in Lesotho, we are not looking at the beneficiation of both sides. The Basotho, because the treaty that we are sitting with now, it was designed in the best interest of the apartheid government. So we have to look at a way in which Basotho themselves benefit from selling of water to South Africa. So that's what the chairperson was calling for. We have hosted a number of delegates, a delegation that came here from Lesotho who have a particular interest to want to know what is it that South Africa is doing to help them, for them to be able to benefit and develop their country with the water resource that was called. So TCTA has that responsibility.
Agbare voorsitter, die agbare lid
Yes,
vra
sir.
my
Order. Would you like to make a point of order, sir?
Well, the honourable member asked me a question. I just want to answer him, to say to him, if you
Order,
give... I only have 3 minutes, that's why I didn't address it. If you give me
order.
12, I will.
Honorable Groenewald, you will answer each other outside this house.
Yeah, well, the point of your chair is that, when you refer such matters to honorable leaders like Groenewald, these are people who understand the apartheid system, who have been with that apartheid system, who have voted for that apartheid system. So when you raise these issues to them, they are able to, to come back to their senses and provide answers. May not be here, maybe outside. When you go outside,
Maybe
Honorable
in the
Groenewald
committee.
will be able to give us some kind of an answer, because it is very clear, Chair, that the intention of apartheid was just to get that water from Basotho and use it. Not in fact for the benefit of the majority of South Africans. You can see who's extracting this water. Look at that stream that comes from the Caledon stream. Everything that runs there, it's farmers who are tapping into that water throughout. By the time it arrives in Gauteng, almost 70% of that water has been tapped by farmers. So these are issues that we must be able to address them, Honorable Groenewald. Now, Mam Kaul, ngiyavuma nawe kakhulu mama ukuthi le ndaba le esikuyo le yamanzi nasekomiti njengoba sisebenzisana nawe esikhathini esiningi uke uveze ke ukuthi eindaweni zokuhlala abantu bethu khona akunamanzi amapipe abhobokile na yonke lento lena okubalulekile kubele sikwazi ukuthi lawo mapipe mamkhawuli amapipe afakwa ngabo 18 something kufakelwa nje abantu abamnyameni lawo mapipe lawo amapipe la enziwe ngabastos laphana azaphelelwe isikhathi ubuningi bawo lawo mapipe. So i-government leya manje kumele kube yiyo ehamba iyolungisa leya mess i-apartheid leyana. Therefore okwesibili ukuthi abantu bethu basusiwe endaweni ezinamanzi, basusiwe endaweni la kunamanzi khona zokungena manje abelungu abakhulu abalimayo laphana amanzi awafiki nasebantwini. Yimpe kumele siyilwe leyo sonke ukuthi siyenza kanjani ukuthi makusikulo daba lomhlaba lokubuyisa umhlaba ebantwini nedaba lamanzi nalo siyalifaka ngaphakathi singaliyeki ngaphandle ngoba ungawuthola lo mhlaba lona mawunganamanzi akunalutho ongakwenza. So ke yona puer buanka yona hore ha o ka sheba sentle gape le mathata ntse rena lona Grootmariko batho ba go Grootmariko ba nwa metsi a tswang directly from the storage system ba wa purifier ba wa busetse gape go bathong. Jwale ne ke re seemo seo a se seemo se re se batlang ke kopile minister e bile ke mo fila di dinepe ke mo bontsha hore ke lebaka le batlang hore a kenelle go lona ka pele a lokise mathata a batho ba Grootmariko. If a se bona fela bile le baagi ba South-Africans baagi ba Moses Kotana le dipleke tse dintsi tsa mo go dulang teng batho ba rona go ntse go na le mathata a metsi mme le nnaneo le that's why re lwana haholo hore ba ska faila ba ha ba faila bana ba khutlisetsa morago diphetogo tsa rona le se re se fitleletseng ha ne re lwanela gololosego. So ra re go bona le ska re faila re thuseng go bane puso ena ke puso e batlang go tokafatsa matshelo a batho ba borona. That's what we are doing. So ha ba faila bana re tlo ba tshwara sa pele ha ba ja tšhelete ya puso re tlo ba tshwara. Chairperson sa buile in fact hore ba e leng gore ba fumanwa ba kentse matsogo hara tšhelete ya puso ba tsamaya ka dikoloi tsa majabajaba ba dula matlong a majabajaba ka tšhelete ya puso re go bona re tlo kena ko go bona gobane se re se lwanelang rona ke go tokafatsa matshelo a batho ba bo rona, nothing else. Ha ne re kena gare ga ratlong ga ra kenela ga ratlo re tlo inontsha rona o tšhao ke re tle ka ditae mo parlamenteng re kentse disuti ne re lwanela gore matshelo a batho ba bo rona a tokafatswe. Manje ke a e boele nala a Giyani mi vulavula ngopfu hi mhaka ya le Giyani la ta mi byela ku ri ntirho lowu nga endliwa Giyani minister se va vulavulile wona na vaaki tiko va le Giyani va swi tiva na vona ku ri tiphayiphi ti fakiwile kusuka eNandoni ti ya hindza miganga liya hinkwayo ku ya fika Giyani. Lexi nga sala ntsena ku ri xi endliwa manje i ku ri ku tekiwa tiphayiphi leti nghenelelaka emitini ya vanhu va kota ku fakeliwa timitha ta mati va kota ku hakelela mati leyi va wa tirhisaka ku hava munhu loyi nga tshama dlayiwa ku thiwa munhu u dlayile ku ri a ku lweliwa mati ya Giyani tatani Madisha vo ti lorhela ntsena se va tshama va kha va lorha ku hava munhu loyi nga tshama dlayiwa. No one has ever been killed in Giyani that people were fighting over water, therefore so and so has died, unless you can take us to the grave or the death certificate that Honorable Madisha must give us so that we then know that it's true that someone died and the police report is there. So don't come here and dream, Honorable Madisha. We mean business here. This is about the revolution. This is about the change of the lives of our people. So we don't want dreamers here. Honorable Bason, you know it. I've tried to adopt you many times just to show you the line that in reality that we have to address. And Honorable Bason, in fact, has fallen into these points that I'm making, that he now understands that in Madibeng, in the constituency where he comes from, people must have clean water. We took a trip here from Parliament. We went there with Honorable Bason. For the first time, I hear Honorable Bason saying that, you know, this abattoir that was contaminating our water, action must be taken. For the first time, it's because we are now being liberated slowly. And as we do that, I'm going to see you slowly come in this side. Very, very slow. Very, very slow. Because you are going to leave the rest of these people that, some of them, you know, they were so much oppressed that they don't even see the reality that they were oppressed. And they come here, they stand here, as if this person has never used a bucket in his life. As if this person has never pushed a wheelbarrow in his life. Come and stand here and say, no, you know, the deer, in fact, is doing good. The deer. What on earth? What are these problems? The mindset must change. Emancipation of the mind. We need to help these people. We must help them because it's many of them here that we must help you. We must show you the truth. We must lead you to the total liberation of this country and make sure that black and white, side by side, have a clean drinking water and flushing toilets. This is what we are fighting for. Nothing else.
Chauke, your time is up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Mhlonishwa Ngqongqoshe, isikhathi sakho sokuphendula.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, let me thank honorable members, all of them, for the support and comments made. Thank you very much, appreciate it. We will follow very closely your advice and counseling. We will do so immediately. The matters that have been raised in the main by the chairperson and the Honorable Bason have all been covered in the speech, really. Thank you very much for that, and I think you can see how how successfully you have inducted me in the committee. Thank you very much. The Honorable Kaula, water losses. There is this War on Leaks program, unfortunately, which has not been funded in the department. It's caused all the problems. Now, that program, what we have done, we have restructured the infrastructure program to infrastructure build and maintenance, so that you can't have a situation like, correctly, the Honorable Kaula, utsho njalo ma, ukuthi ifumaneka kanjani le program kwi-administration, ukade uyitsho kanjalo lenda. So lento siyisusile pha ku-administration sizisa ku-maintenance, so that sizotraina laba bantu esibatrainayo uze bona bakwazi ukuthi komasipalati ensabathatha komasipalati bakwazi ukubuyela kumasipalati wakowabo bakwazi ukusebenza lo msebenzi okutywina opipe abavusayo. So the program on leaks is actually maintenance of infrastructure that would have built, working together. Kunye no masipalati, iyo lendo bethu Deputy Minister, sizosebenzisa le tactic ka build, operate, train and transfer. Singaveli nje sithi ebantwini nansi into sibuye umva thina. Singabancedisanga babe nezakhono zokuyenza loo nto. So thank you for that. You also, the Honorable Kaula, and there's reference to, she has made reference to water desalination, seawater desalination. This is a matter which we have, in our discussion, when we were discussing the situation in Cape Town with the Premier and the MEC, one of the senior officials in the department, Deputy Director General Trevor Balzer, was with me at the time. We had discussed this matter of looking at how far we can go with desalination, given that we've got 3,000 kilometers of coastline in South Africa. And we've got major cities that we can actually encourage that they desalinate for domestic and industrial use, so that the water, that the rainwater and so on out there in the interior could be more focusing on agricultural purposes. Not that there will be a Chinese wall between the two, but these are the things that we were discussing with them. And at the moment, we're looking at this possibility of desalination, particularly at cities and towns along the coast. We're looking at that, ma'am, Honorable Member. Exactly. I think this matter of compliance, you said all the things that, of course, that are covered, but I liked this point that talks about compliance with water services regulation. That's exactly the point. The reason why we're talking about National Water Resources and Services regulator for the country is exactly for this reason. It has to do also with the question of reform, because the honorable member was talking about, I think it was Honorable Mnguni was talking about, we buy land for redistribution down the stream, the river. Upstream, you have farmers who they convert use of land there. They then put up golf courses and they irrigate. Downstream, the farm which was always green becomes brown. And people say black people can't farm, which is not true. It is this question. And therefore, we have strengthened that branch to make sure that it looks at these things that relate to compliance, because I don't think compliance has been enforced. Similarly, with the wastewater treatment plants, exactly the same thing that pollute the dams downstream. Again, it has a lot to do with that question of us being custodians of water, but not making use of that responsibility to the full. I think that's a matter that the Honorable Professor said in the committee in the portfolio committee. So yes, we think we agree with that. We'll actually follow that very strictly with the team. No buckets at all. The Honorable Sheikh Imam. This is a big poser for us. Guyana is actually a good example. Guyana, we've laid the infrastructure, the bulk infrastructure. Now reticulation hasn't taken place, people don't have water. Not only do people not have water, but now if you think about about desensitization, there are no buckets there. So you have to actually start afresh. The question is, what are our priorities? Because in most instances in the cities and towns, people don't have, they have got buckets, but they don't have flushing toilets. In the rural areas, they don't have neither of the two. They don't have buckets, they don't have flushing. They just go to the bush and they also pollute the rivers downstream and all of these things. So we have to actually reorientate ourselves in terms of the priorities with regards to this question. This is what we're looking at right now. I've asked the team to actually think carefully how we deal with this question. If you look at the budget right now, it's focusing on the towns and townships. It does not talk to the rural areas there in terms of sanitation. That's a priority. It was 608, I think it's 608 million rands. It's going to two provinces, Free State and Northern Cape. So we have to look at how we deal with this question and get Guyana there already. So if you're talking about 55 villages plus 38, those are how many households are there? A lot of them. They don't have the facility, or rather the services and the resources that we're talking about here. The Honorable Groenewald, yes, this desalination, that was you that was dealing with this. Yes, the rest of the things that you're raising, Honorable Member, are part of what we are dealing with. Same with the Honorable Professor. I've referred to the comments that you've made already. The matter is dealt with there. Now, Honorable Nguni is, again, I've already referred to the matters that you raised, but these human settlements, remember when we first had housing, and when we were MECs, I remember a number of us who are now ministers and deputy ministers, this is a question we dealt with. And the ANC government took a decision, therefore, to say, look, let's reconceptualize this. It's not housing, because housing, actually, that's exactly what was happening. We built houses, these are RDP houses with no toilets, no flushing toilets. And then we perpetuated the bucket system. And then we said, no, let's relook at this and redefine it as human settlements. Human settlements means the totality of the services that are necessary. And therefore, but this is not happening in rural areas. And say, this is a beautiful point that has been made here, and it reminded me that human settlements development in rural areas as well, not just in towns and townships. It's the key. So we should this is a matter that I'm very happy that the Honorable Minister of COCTA, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, has come up with an interministerial technical team that is looking at matters that relate to our water, energy, at local government, etc., so that we can work together, working together and planning. Treasury is part of that team. So I think there could be a kind of an integrated governance system that will emerge from that. Honorable members, thank you very much once more, but just think about it. You'll see in your document that we have prioritized the 5 pillars of that transformation. It involves the things you've referred to here. But lastly, the Groot Mariko, Honorable Chauke, we discussed it just a couple of days ago because you gave me the pictures, and I've asked the team to send a team to Groot Mariko to have a look at that. And the plant, the DTG for planning, monitoring and evaluation is sitting here. She'll lead the team to go there and see what we can do there. Honorable members, those that I have not mentioned, it's not because I didn't have respect for what you said, it's because the time has expired. Thank you very, very much for everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Members are reminded that the House plenary to debate Parliament's budget vote will take place at 14 hours in the National Assembly chamber. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary. The mini plenary will now rise.